Locks are not an excuse not to wash your hair. Not to sound like a broken record, but locks are not an excuse to be dirty. Okay? They are low maintenance. They are not no maintenance. Wash your hair, please. Uncle, auntie. Soap, water, shampoo, whatever you want to call it. Wash your hair. Okay? So let's talk about how to wash your hair, or how to, care for your locks after you get them. Um, if you are starting out with comb coils or finger coils, or the palm rolling method, it's called several different things. Just wash your hair. I would say, because for most of us, our hair grows out of our scalp in a clockwards direction. So I would say when you're washing your hair, just maintain that same clockwork direction in washing it. Um, for those who have very soft kind of texture, I would advise that you can wear a wig cap, or if you don't have a wig cap, an old pair of stockings, very, very sheer stockings. You can just cut off one point, sew it down, and then fix the part that should have gone over your waist, one leg of it, one side of it, fix it over your hair, and just wash. But if you have like a kinkier, tighter curl pattern, you can just wash your hair, like no need for the wig cap or anything. Wash your hair with the understanding. Sometimes, even with the wig cap, the wig cap may not, will still not prevent unraveling entirely. So that's just something to keep in mind, okay? What the wig cap would do is, if you're somebody who is very particular about your grid pattern, what the wig cap would do is to prevent the grid from disappearing entirely, so that it's just easier when you then go back in to put your coils back in. It's easier to find your lines, okay? But if you have a kinkier curl pattern that can stand up to washing without your grid pattern disappearing entirely, then you don't necessarily need a wig cap. The wig cap is just like an extra precaution to make the job easier for you when you then begin to do the maintenance, okay? And before you ask, what should I wash my hair with? When your locks are new, you need a clarifying shampoo. Now, I'm not talking to the people who have color, because if you have color, then you need a moisturizing shampoo. Okay, so everything I'm saying from this point out about maintenance, I'm talking more to the people who have their own natural color. They've not done any color work or dye or anything. Okay, you need a clarifying shampoo. I would say, well, at least for the first 2 years, I would advise I use a clarifying shampoo. Once your hair locks, depending on how long, for some people it takes them 6 months, they're fully locked. Some people a year. Some people like me, I'm still not locked and I'm going on 3 years, so I still use a clarifying shampoo. Here in West Africa, we have what we call black soap. The local raw black soap is very, very good, very, very efficient at clarifying hair. It's really, really stripping. I want to warn you. So I usually advise, if you're going to use that when your hair is still a little bit damp, let me say 15 to 20% damp, that you follow immediately with a very light oil. Okay. If you do not like the smell, because it has a very unique smell, so I mean, I guess it takes getting used to. If you don't like the smell of local black soap, there's several clarifying shampoos on the market that would work for locks, ranging from those on the more affordable end of the spectrum to like the really high end. So I'm trying to, what's the name of this shampoo? Okay, if I remember the name, I'll try and insert the names of all the shampoos somewhere in the description box or in the comment section, so look out for that. But off the top of my head, the blue colored Suave daily clarifying shampoo, Some people have said good things about mane and tail, but reviews are mixed, so use at your own discretion, I guess. Um, and then some people have also said very good things about Dawn dishwashing soap. Again, use at your own discretion. And then a bit on the higher end of that is the Neutrogena, the Neutrogena anti-residue shampoo. I've heard really, really good things about it. It is a bit pricey. It's, I think, just a little bit over $20 for about 100 ml size. So if that is available to you and within your own price point, you know, that would work as well. But there really is something for every price point. If you are cheap like me and black soap works for you, it's very good. It will get the job done. So will Dawn dishwashing soap. I've heard that they use it on like baby chicks, you know, or baby sea animals, you know, that get caught up in oil spills. You know, they've used Dawn dishwashing soap successfully without harming the sea animals. So I guess it should be safe for human hair. I don't know. Again, use at your own discretion. And then there's this other one that is readily available in Nigeria, something nature. If I find the name, I don't want to give wrong information. If I find the name, I will drop it in the comments below. But for that particular line, you would do well to look out for the rosemary and the tea tree versions, because they make all the bottles look very similar, but I think half of the line is moisturizing, the other half is clarifying. Okay, the ones I know for a fact are clarifying are the rosemary and the tea tree oil ones. So please be very careful. Please read labels. Hello. But moving on, so that's for washing. Okay, if you started your hair with micro twists, with braid locks, with interlocking, then those of you who are in the sister locks community already know this. Before you begin to wash your hair, you want to braid and band, and you can achieve this in several different ways depending on how long your hair is, depending on how lazy you are. Essentially, you could either braid very loosely. Well, when I say braid, leave enough space near your scalp that your palm or your hand should be able to fit under the braid, right? And then braid tightly. And then when you get to the end, you flip the hair or your locks over, and then you get like those tiny little rubber bands and band the end tight enough that it won't slip off while you're washing, but it's loose enough to come off easily when you're done. Okay, and then leave enough space. When you're washing your hair, your focus really is on your scalp. It's your scalp that you're trying to get clean, and then you can then pull the suds through the braids, okay, and allow the suds and all of that to wash down the braids and cleanse that part. But you want to keep a lot of your focus on your scalp and make sure you get that really squeaky clean. Okay, I usually say to people who have very loose, finely textured hair, let me just say, just in the interest of being short and concise, if you have anything from 4B or looser, okay, or if you have 4C but fine textured 4C, leave those braids in until your hair is at least 95% dry. Don't take them out. All right, unless you're washing your hair and then getting your retie immediately after. Okay, that in that case your loctician will know what to do, right? But if you're washing your hair by yourself at home, put your braids in, wash your hair, and leave the braids in until it is completely dry. One way of facilitating this process is you could go under a hooded dryer, you know, to speed up the process if you don't have all day to just sit around and allow your hair to dry. But try and allow your hair to dry at least 95% before you take the braids out. That is one way of making sure you prevent bunching and slippage. All right, remember I talked about how bunching can look very similar to budding, but it's not the same. You want budding, you do not want bunching. One major cause or culprit for bunching is that people are too lazy to braid and band. If your hair has not locked fully, please, you can't afford to be lazy about braiding and banding. Please braid and band your hair. If you are too lazy to braid and band your hair, then you must have money to pay for repair. Ooh, I made it rhyme. Anyway, you get the message, okay? And then for moisturizing, I would say it depends on the environment where you live. So where I live, it's usually hot and humid for much of the year. We have about 3 to 4 months of really dry weather. So on average, I would say in a month, I may moisturize my hair maybe like 3 or 4 times. Okay, I mean apart from the days when I wash my hair, I might, and even at that, it's a very light sprays. So I often tell people, locks are low maintenance. It's not that deep. Lock maintenance is simple, you know. And let it not look as if I'm trying to, to my fellow locticians who sell lock hair products, may God bless your hustle. But many of you, and you will know yourself, those of you who will be doing anything you want with your client's hair and pushing lock products on them, telling them all they need is this hair product. Once they use this hair product, their locks will be as gorgeous as. Those of you, because some of you, you've removed your hands, your two hands and your legs from anything that concerns heavenly rays. You know yourselves. Anyway, this doesn't apply to all locticians. Don't get me wrong. Some locticians are selling really good hair products, lightweight, has all the right ingredients, healthy products. For those ones, thumbs up to you. But much more than products, what locks thrive on is healthy hair practice. Okay? Moisture, what your locks need more than anything else is moisture. And by moisture, I want to be very clear. I'm talking about water. 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 Whatever you call it in your country or with your accent. WATER. That's what your locks need more than anything else. If you live in a hot, humid environment like I do, you might not need to moisturize your hair maybe more than 3 or 4 times a month. So once a week should do. But if you're somebody who works in a place where the air conditioning is always on, because it can be very drying, yes, you might want to moisturize every, just a quick spritz. Your locks don't have to be soaking wet, just a quick spritz. If you live in a dry, more arid environment, or maybe during the winter months where the heating is on permanently, because that also, just like air conditioning, the heating also dries out hair pretty fast, then yes, you could moisturize maybe once or twice a day. But even at that, it should be a very, very, very lightweight moisturizer. So I tell people, if water is all you can afford, by all means use water. Water will get the job done. The only advantage of all these other ready-to-use moisturizers is that because they have oils and humectants dissolved in them, they tend to keep the moisture in your hair for longer. As a lockhead, anything that cannot be sprayed out of a bottle is not for you. It's not for you. If it cannot be sprayed out of a bottle, you have no business putting that stuff in your hair. Okay? If you go and do otherwise, and you end up with build-up, or you end up with unnecessary lint, okay, because the stickier your hair is, the easier it is to catch lint. Don't come back to me or to your loctician complain. You know what you did. Let's be honest here, okay? You know what you did. So for those product junkies, if you used to be a loose natural product junkie, pack all your hair products. I can hear people's hearts breaking and shattering at this point. Pack all your hair products and find a loose natural hair friend or a friend who has a perm or who is not locked, and gift those products away. They're not for you anymore. Okay? If you cannot spray that product out of a bottle, it is not for you. Keep it simple. All right? If you live in a humid environment where the air is not too dry, water will work perfectly for you. If you need a little bit more help, if you're somebody who works under in a place, in an environment where the air conditioning is always on, or the heating is always on, or it's winter, or it's harmattan season or dry season where you live, then you might need a little bit more help. Okay, so for that, I would recommend maybe rose water, or rose water with maybe some very light oils or essential oils dissolved in it. You could use aloe vera juice, which honestly, aloe vera juice is water. It's like 99.9% water, with some micronutrients or minerals dissolved in it. Okay, and then follow with a very light oil, so vitamin E oil, jojoba oil. And if you live in the tropics or somewhere where the weather is really warm, then I would advise you to use coconut oil. So it's in the tropics, it's usually readily available. It's also relatively cheap, unlike jojoba oil and vitamin E oil that tend to be a little bit pricier. And the good thing about coconut oil in the tropics is it never comes in solid form. Okay, so in the tropics where I live in Nigeria, coconut oil is sold in spray bottles, because the oil never solidifies. If, however, you live in a place where the temperatures are really low, like if you have winter or really low temperatures where you live, then I think jojoba oil, excuse me, I can't speak anymore, jojoba oil or vitamin E oil might be a better alternative. Okay, so keep it simple. For me, I tend to, just because I just like to keep my locks fresh. The thought that my locks might be smelly just freaks me out. So to my distilled water or drinking bottled water, I would usually add a few drops of tea tree oil or peppermint oil. I like tea tree oil because, in addition to having a very refreshing smell, it's also good for myriad scalp and skin conditions. So if you're somebody who has problems with psoriasis, dandruff, and all that good stuff, tea tree oil is good for so many things. If you're somebody who is trying to stimulate hair growth, I've heard good things also about rosemary oil. An alternative to that is, if you have like fresh or even dried rosemary, you could make your own oil or your own spritz. What some people do is to make like a rosemary tea. So you soak some rosemary leaves, put them in a bowl and pour some hot water on them, like boiling hot water. Steep them for some hours to a few days, and then pour it into your spray bottle after it has cooled completely, and just spray it on your scalp and your hair. It smells lovely. If you have some lavender oil, rosemary and lavender go really well together. The scent is to die for. So just spritz that on your hair as a refresher, and your hair is moisturized, you're smelling awesome, living your best look life. But it's really that simple. And if you don't have any of these feferities, hello, water, water, whatever you want to call it, is perfectly fine. Keep it simple, keep it cheap, keep it moving, and your locks will thrive. Okay, so moving on.